tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' till it's swollen, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' till it's swollen, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' till it's swollen, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins or the second dose. Anyway, so with that all being said, let's get ready to get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Please like, share, subscribe. Also, don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed to the Queen's channel, especially if you have not been receiving those notifications. Now, today I noticed that a few people have been unsubscribed, so please do your due diligence. Okay, so hey, Juju, Buckhorse DC, Deronda. All right, let's get into it. Queen Amani Huey. Okay, everybody hit that like button. All right, with that all been said, I see you, Miss Trees, Troy Parker's in the virtual building. Okay, Classy and Fabulous is here. All right, Alice is in the virtual building. Let's get into Atlanta. Everybody hit that like button. Let's get ready. I'm going to play, as you know, I'm going to play the, I said, what am I going to, why did I lose my train of thought? I'm about to play, give a word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes, okay? And then we'll get into it. Lights up, everybody. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so with that all being said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. Okay, so we have quite a few things to cover. We've got to talk about what's going on with this whole thing with Trump. They're talking about Putin as being very quiet. And I got a little bit of information on Putin and Trump. Now, I can't substantiate these claims because the person that said these things claims to have been given inside information. Okay, well, we'll talk about that. And also let's talk about what the Venezuelan leaders or the Venezuelan military leaders, what they have said, how South Africa dragged the US at the UN. Trump is worried about getting impeached. He's already warning his people. Okay, and then they called Pete Hegseth an embarrassment. And of course, Donnie McClurkin has been sued for SA and it's all nefarious. And then, not to mention, Pastor Jamal Bryant and his lovely wife. Honey, they've been getting all the hate from some people about the dress that she wore that people thought was just a bit too much. And so, I was debating whether or not I was going to cover that topic because I don't care what nobody says. I like Pastor Jamal Bryant, so they can miss me with it. But now, so much talk has come out. I just said I'm going to have to go ahead and share my thoughts and views and see what y'all think about it. Some of y'all might think the dress was too much yourselves. But we're going to all talk about it now. I decided to discuss this at the last minute, so I don't necessarily have them on my thumbnail. All right, but we're going to cover that topic as well. So let's get ready to get into it. All right, at this point, let me stop rambling. Oh, what the hell's going on here? Why was I hearing myself? Okay, I opened the wrong tab. Okay, so now with that all been said, let's quickly go to this hearing. House Dems held a meeting for January 6th Capitol riot. And they talked about how all those thugs were released, okay, back into the world by Trump himself. Now he wants to act like he's so concerned about the rule of law, please.
Ago today, a violent mob incited by Donald Trump attacked the Capitol as part of a concerted effort to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election and halt the peaceful transfer of power for the first time in American history. This bloodthirsty, treacherous mob brutally assaulted police officers and seriously injured more than 140 brave men and women of law enforcement. Many have suffered lasting physical and psychological damage. Several tragically lost their lives. Because of the extraordinary bravery of the U.S. Capitol Police, other law enforcement officials, and the resolve of the Congress to return that night, this unprecedented attack on our country and on our democracy failed. Over the last 5 years, instead of holding those responsible for the attack accountable, Donald Trump and far-right extremists in Congress have repeatedly attempted to rewrite history and whitewash the horrific events of January 6th. We will not let that happen. On the first day in office of his second term, instead of fulfilling his promise to lower the high cost of living on day one, Donald Trump pardoned hundreds of violent felons who brutally beat police officers while storming the United States Capitol. The criminals and thugs that Donald Trump pardoned have flooded communities across the country, unleashing violence and mayhem. The crimes committed by those rioters before and after the violent insurrection include child sexual assault, production of child pornography.
Now, I want you all to listen to some of these charges that these devils previously had before they did what they did at the Capitol, and some after. Okay, but Trump's talking about law and order. Please.
Possession of child pornography, rape, conspiracy to murder FBI agents, kidnapping, sexual assault, aggravated robbery, reckless homicide, driving under the influence causing death, illegal possession of firearms, domestic violence by strangulation, burglary, vandalism, grand theft, stalking, violation of protection orders, threatening public officials, and drug trafficking. It's been a Trump-inspired crime spree. Why won't Republicans in Congress condemn this dangerous behavior, an ongoing threat?
Right. Why won't the Republicans in Congress, why won't they denounce it? And at the end of the day, Trump has the audacity to send troops into Democratic-led states, okay, after all these thugs that he's unleashed into the U.S. Okay, make it all make sense.
To public safety. They refuse to serve as a check and balance on an increasingly out-of-control executive branch, preferring to be nothing more than a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. The January 6th violent attack on the Capitol that took place 5 years ago today was shameful then, it is shameful now, and it will be shameful always and forever. We must continue to learn from what happened on January 6th in order to make sure that it never happens again. We must protect our free and fair elections. We must protect the peaceful transfer of power. We must protect the preeminence of the rule of law. And we must protect the eternal commitment to a democratic America, which remains the last best hope on earth. It is now my honor to yield to the distinguished gentleman from the great state of Mississippi, the once and future chair of the Homeland Security Committee and the chairman emeritus of the January 6th Select Committee, Congressman Benny Thompson.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so after we listen to Benny Thompson speak, we're out of here. We're moving on because we have too much to talk about, and I don't want to be here all night.
Leader Jeffries, and before I start with my opening comments, let me note, as we've already indicated, the passing of our colleague, Congressman Doug LaMarfa. Our thoughts are with his family and staff at this sad time. Good morning, and welcome to all who joined us. I want to extend an especially warm welcome and thanks to the brave members of law enforcement who are joining us today. They protected us, they protected the Capitol, and they protected the democratic process. We can be here today because they were here then. Thank you. I'm also honored to rejoin my colleagues on the January 6th Select Committee, both on this panel and among our witnesses.
I have to read this comment from Jeff ATL talking about one of his grandparents must have been white. Talking about Hakeem Jeffries. Well, why did it have to be his grandparent? It could have been about his mother or father, or maybe he's just light-skinned. But let's continue. Not one of his grandparents.
5 years ago today, an armed mob of thousands incited by President Donald Trump attacked, breached, and laid siege to the United States Capitol. They did so as Congress was carrying out one of its most fundamental constitutional duties, counting electoral votes, certifying a presidential election, and facilitating the peaceful transfer of power. What unfolded that day was both brutal and calculated. Officers were stabbed with metal fence stakes and bludgeoned with flagpoles. They were crushed in doorways until their ribs were broken. Eyes were gouged. At least one officer was dragged into the mob, beaten, tased, and left for dead. Others suffered lasting damage from concussions and traumatic brain injuries.
All of these things. Now, they did not publicly release all of this information. At least I didn't hear all of this. Brain damages. Now, I knew that Officer Brian Sicknick died in the hospital days later from a stroke due to his injuries, and he was also sprayed with bear spray. And then Ashley Babbitt. But brain injuries? Now, I knew some of those cops had gotten beaten up and all that and injured. This is all crazy. And you mean to tell me Trump let these thugs out of jail and out of prison? And here's the thing. How are the police sitting there bending the knee to Trump? Okay, when he allowed this, okay, he's the cause of it, in my opinion, and then let the thugs out who did it. But he pretends to have so much care and concern for the police. That's just so they won't lock his arse up. But let's continue.
In the days and weeks that followed, 5 police officers died due to the physical or psychological trauma they endured protecting Congress and the Constitution. The years may have muffled the screams we heard, and the horrible images of that day may have faded. So as we mark this grim anniversary, it's important that we remember exactly what happened. January 6th was not a regular tourist visit. It was not a day of love. It was a bloody riot that pushed our democracy to the breaking point. To bring us back to that day, we're going to play a short video reminding us that for a little over 3 hours, 5 years ago, this sacred temple of our democracy, where we are sitting today, was transformed into a war zone. I warn those watching that this video contained violence and strong language.
DC is a motherfucking war zone. Get you 12 up to help maintain the lines.
Oh, look at him. Look at him. Wow.
We cannot hold this without more munitions or more manpower. There's a bit that we lost the line. We've lost the line. All MPD, get back. 1033. I repeat, 1033. West part of the Capitol. We've been taken and we've lost the line.
I was invited here by the president.
These are crazy.
Some people want to rewrite the history of January 6th, to ignore what we saw with our own eyes. Some people want us to forget the lessons of that day, to pretend that we have overcome the threats facing our democracy and the rule of law. We will not allow that to happen. We gather to continue to uphold our oath to support and defend the Constitution.
Foreign and domestic. Defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And right now, we have a domestic enemy who's attacking the Constitution. Its name is Donald J. Trump. His name is Donald J. Trump. Now, with that all being said, let's continue because I'm going to go to this video of some people in Venezuela whose home was pretty much destroyed during the invasion to kidnap Maduro and his wife.
Jonathan Mallorca reviews what's left of his children's home after the U.S. attack in Catia de Mar, in the coastal municipality of La Guaira. This 3-story building is near Venezuela's international airport, a naval base, and, according to a Venezuelan source, close to one of President Nicolás Maduro's security bunkers.
It's a miracle that they didn't kill my children here. Upstairs, 2 elderly women died in the attack. We aren't to blame for the conflicts of the world.
In another apartment, bullet holes can be seen everywhere, suggesting U.S. forces on the ground may have encountered resistance here during Saturday night's attacks and subsequent extraction of Nicolás Maduro. Even Venezuela's national liberation hero, Simón Bolívar, was riddled with bullets.
We started evacuating, running everywhere, trying to get as far out of the area as we could. When we came back, we saw all the damage. It's a miracle that we're alive.
Many Venezuelans are also reeling from the extraordinary images of their president in shackles being taken at dawn to a courthouse in New York.
I don't support him, to be honest, but he's a human being.
Most businesses remain closed except for grocery shops and pharmacies. People are stocking up on food as a priority because they don't know what will happen next or who is really in charge. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado is ignoring Trump's statement that she doesn't have the support or respect of Venezuelans.
She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
Instead, she's just thanked Trump for his resolve, saying Venezuela's transition is imminent. Opposition spokesman Alexander Maita, who's exiled in Chile, explains that it's too soon for Machado or anyone else to return home.
We are pushing so that there will be an orderly and peaceful transition. That is our motto, our goal. But we can't deny that Delcy Rodriguez, Padrino Lopez, and Diosdado Cabello remain in power and continue being part of the problem.
He's referring to Maduro's power elite, including the army and intelligence services. They're still running the country, even as Trump insists that it's he who's really in charge. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.
Oh, okay, so you all heard that. Trump's talking about he's running the country, but they're saying that they're still running it. And I'll bet you Corina Machado, I bet she feels so stupid. Okay, sitting there talking about praising Trump and, you know, symbolically saying that her medal was dedicated to him. Girl, please sit down somewhere. And then he went stabbed her right in the back like he does anyone else. Now let's talk about Putin, because they say, why is Russia's Putin quiet on U.S.'s abduction of Maduro, closing his eyes? Okay, the Russian leader will seek to benefit from Washington's intervention, but will also worry that he could be next. According to experts, I don't think Putin's worried about being next, is he? Okay, so a meme has gone viral on Russian social media networks with a quote from President Vladimir Putin says, "We don't give up on our own." Now, this is placed next to his photos with the leaders that he once declared Moscow's key enemies, or I'm sorry, key allies. So there were Libya's Muammar Gaddafi, who was toppled and killed in 2011, Syria's Bashar al-Assad, who was toppled and fled to Moscow in 2024, and Ukraine's Viktor Yanukovych, who was toppled and rushed to Moscow in 2014. And then there was a picture of Putin and his radiant Venezuelan counterpart, Nicolas Maduro, who was dragged out of his bedroom by the United States Delta Force commandos on Saturday and is now awaiting trial in New York on drug trafficking charges. Now, before abducting him, U.S. military forces struck the Buk-2MA air defense systems and radars Russia supplied to Venezuela and installed at seaports and airports as part of their strategic alliance. However, Moscow's defense cooperation treaty with Caracas was vague and did not envision immediate military aid in case of a foreign invasion. Now, even though Russia's Ministry of Affairs called Maduro's capture an unacceptable act of armed aggression, Putin himself refrained from saying anything at all, let alone meddling militarily. All right. The consequences for Russia are two-pronged. Okay, this is what they say. They say there is immediate damage to the Kremlin's already tarnished international reputation, but long-term benefits from Moscow's insistence on having carte blanche in Ukraine and the former Soviet Union, including energy-rich Central Asia. They say, on the one hand, Putin's prestige and reputation suffered a blow as Maduro was his most loyal ally in Latin America. Okay, this is what Alisher Ikhamov, the head of the London-based Central Asia due diligence think tank. Okay, this is what she said. Now, far more important to Putin is that with his actions, Trump is establishing a new world, you know what. I'm not going to say it because I almost said it, but when you say that on YouTube, they put a thing on your video. Now, with that all been said, isn't that what I told you all? Trump's dismantling the United States from the inside out to build a whole nother United States, the one that the wanted supremacists want favorable more so to them. This is all part of Project 2025. Now, but this allies' value cannot possibly outweigh the importance of a new world, you know what, that U.S. President Donald Trump is establishing, he said. And this new world is now based on the priority of force, not on the international law whose cornerstone was the sovereignty of nations, he says. Now, what happened with Maduro resembles Moscow's military inaction after al-Assad's panicked flight from Damascus to Moscow in December of 2024 during the takeover of Syria by opposition forces. Now, one theory is that Trump and Putin wrote Maduro off during their August summit visit in Anchorage, Alaska. Perhaps in Anchorage or even earlier, there was a conversation about the limitation of spheres of interest in the world. Now, this is what Nikolai Mitrohin, a Russian researcher with Germany's Bremen University, said. The agreement may have included concessions for Trump on Ukraine for the sake of future post-war joint development of hydrocarbons in Russia's Arctic regions, while Washington gains control over Greenland. Trump's persistent desire to take over Greenland is made from the same cloth. This is what Mitrokin says. From there, he'd want to control the northern part of his part of the world. Now, and after Russia's existing oil fields are tapped out, U.S. companies could also be instrumental in the development of the Bashanovska Svita, the world's largest shale oil deposits in the swampy plains of Western Siberia. Now, U.S. oil companies pioneered the extraction of the shale oil and gas, while Russian firms lack the technologies and the expertise. So control over Beshkanovsha Swifta would help the White House kill a much bigger geopolitical bird at the same time and with the same stone. Now, the United States needs Bashanovska Svita to prevent China from getting there, as it could form Beijing's energy independence. Okay, according to Kyiv-based analyst Alexei Kushv. These names are something else, okay? Please pay attention. Now, meanwhile, the loss of Maduro does not pose any peril to Russia, as media and public figures influenced by the Kremlin use the brazen capture of a foreign president to lambast Washington's imperialism. Okay, another expert said giving up on Maduro is not going to help Putin to mend ties with Trump right away. Honey, mend ties with Trump, they're already bruised. Now, on Monday, Trump said he didn't believe Putin's claim that Ukraine had tried to kill the Russian president at his Valdy residence in northwestern Russia in late December. Didn't I tell y'all that Putin was lying? Okay, now Trump doesn't believe it, but before he did, and Trump was so mad about it. Remember, he came out talking about he's so mad about it and all that. And I told y'all, I said, I bet Putin's lying. I don't even believe Zelensky tried that. Okay? Now Trump all of a sudden said he doesn't believe it. I find it all interesting. Now, he was definitely on the bandwagon before. Now, they say by closing his eyes on Maduro's capture, Putin will not get closer to Trump. This is what Galaya Ibrahimova, an expert with the Carnegie Endowment of International Peace think tank, this is what they said. They say now, Maduro's extraction may even inspire Putin to plan the kidnapping of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. And at the dawn of his presidency in the early 2000s, Putin developed ties with Maduro's socialist predecessor and mentor, Hugo Chavez, despite Moscow's growing political tilt to rightward nationalism. Chavez paid billions for Russian-made weapons such as tanks, helicopters, fighter jets, and missiles. And Moscow even opened a factory in Venezuela to manufacture AK-47 assault rifles. Now, Russian experts played a key role in Venezuela's economic lifeline, the processing of heavy, hard-to-extract crude. Okay, however, their outdated technologies could not possibly prevent the decline in Venezuela's crude production, which helped cause a years-long economic nosedive, okay, hyperinflation, and brain drain of oil experts from geologists to engineers. Now, after coming to power in 2013, Maduro met with Putin a dozen times, and each of his visits to Moscow was a red carpet pompous affair full of rhetoric and mutual assurances of eternal friendship. In October, Maduro sent a plea to Putin, urging him to send missiles from Russia, supplied 3 S-300 air defense systems, repair Russian-made Sukhoi Su-30 fighter jets, and supply radars and other unspecified logistical support. Now, he also asked for a financing plan, okay, adding that it was not clear whether Moscow replied to the plea. So meanwhile, pro-Kremlin voices present Maduro's fall as part of an anti-Moscow plan that will certainly fail. They say we simply have to fathom that the collective West will never give up on its attempts to defeat Russia. Okay, this is what analyst Kirill Strelenkov wrote in an opinion piece for the RIA Novosti new agency on Tuesday, saying you can try and will fail from far above and painfully. You know, let me tell you something. I would not put it past Trump. When you really think about it, I would not put it past Trump to try and do something so shisty and shady to try to, outdo Putin. I would not put it past him because he's such a narcissist and he does really want to be at the top. He wants to be above everybody, and that would include Putin. Right now, he's probably just sitting back biding his time. Okay, I think it's also interesting. But here's the thing. Let me tell you all something. Now, what we should know is that somebody had to be on the inside working with the U.S. Somebody had to be giving them information about Maduro, what was going on with him. There had to be a mole somewhere. And I also told you all how I found it interesting that Putin's men were supposed to be there to protect and defend Venezuela, specifically former President Maduro and his wife. But they were asleep at the wheel clearly because they were not there. Okay, don't y'all find that interesting? Because I surely do. Okay, where did they go to? Now, here's the thing. Hold on just a second, beloveds. Likes up. Likes up, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, with that all being said, there has been speculation that there was some sort of agreement. Okay, and here's the thing. Now, I want you all to pay attention because this is all speculation. This is all alleged. I cannot absolutely confirm this. But now it was said that an insider gave this information saying that Russia and the U.S. basically made an agreement, but not really, because they didn't speak the agreement to one another. Like, they didn't get together and communicate. But what they did was they instead had a middleman. And the middleman was Swiss. Okay, it was the Swiss. Now, here's what they claim. That basically Russia told their soldiers to stand down. They say they told their soldiers to stand down, okay? And they told them that if you, and basically there was some equipment, and they were talking about how it would be a big deal if the U.S. destroyed it. Or basically, they say that they were given the okay to go ahead, though. that it should have been a big deal if they destroyed certain equipment that was given to Venezuela by Russia, but that they were given the go-ahead to destroy these things. And that's why the Russian soldiers were also told to stand down. Okay, they did not take any did not take any Russian prisoners, I don't think, because they stood down. And they say that if they took Russian equipment, they'd also need to have Russian advisors. Okay, so clearly some of the Russians were obviously helping them, because it says if they took the equipment, they would need Russian advisors. Okay, and they say no Russian soldiers had to be killed because they were told not to bother resisting. Do not resist. So that's why they say no Russian soldiers were killed. But I want you to pay attention, because they did report that some of the Cuban soldiers who were there to defend, that some of them were killed. Do you all remember that? They said the Cuban security were killed, some of them. And the Russians were told to stand down. I find it very interesting. Oh, and also they said there was encrypted messages, or there were messages that were actually unencrypted. Okay, so this is how they did the whole thing. Basically, they're saying that there was a plot and a plan, and rather than the U.S. speaking with Russia about it, the messages were sent to the Swiss, okay, to act as the middleman. And the messages were very detailed. They actually told where the Russian personnel would be. And then the messages were actually intercepted. Okay, and that was all on purpose, supposedly, allegedly, that was all on purpose. These messages were sent, and they were not encrypted, and they were easily intercepted. Now, that's what they say. And I don't know if that's true, but I tell you what, it sounds plausible to me, because why in the world did the Russian soldiers not do anything? Okay. I have several questions, but I told y'all that from day one. All right. Oh, so crazy. Letta says they all in bed together to me. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, where are we going next? Okay, let's go to where the Venezuelan military leaders speak. Okay, here we go.
Even as Maduro's whereabouts remain disputed publicly. Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello addressed the Venezuelan people from Caracas, speaking after assessing what he called extensive damage from the overnight strikes. Cabello described the American action as a heinous criminal attack and a brutal terrorist attack against innocent people. Good morning to the people of Venezuela, Cabello began. We are here in the bustling capital city, specifically in vibrant Caracas. After thoroughly assessing the extensive damage directly caused by the heinous criminal attack, the brutal terrorist attack against our innocent people, our beloved nation, Cabello said the attack targeted not only military facilities but also electrical infrastructure and civilians who, in his words, have absolutely nothing to do with the principles and ideals of the Bolivarian Revolution. These actions are directed against Venezuela, against the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, he declared. Cabello called on Venezuelans to remain calm and trust their leaders, the formidable military forces, the vigilant police forces here present with me. The resilient people are absolutely ready, he said. Ready for any conceivable situation, ready for any potential event you may attempt to instigate, and most importantly, for the enduring peace and stability of our beloved.
Bless their hearts. And he urged the public not to panic, okay? They're probably over there. I know some of those people over there are just hoping and praying, that there's no more chaos coming from Trump and his minions. Okay, now let's go to this, because this is where South Africa dragged the U.S. Okay, and this is at the UN meeting. So let's get into it.
Spain will work to unite Venezuelans, men and women, and is committed to dialogue and peace because force never brings more democracy. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Spain, and I now give the floor to the representative of South Africa.
Thank you, Mr. President. We wish to congratulate the Federal Republic of Somalia for assuming the rotating presidency of the United Nations Security Council for the month of January, and wish you and your delegation all the best in the execution of your responsibilities. We also wish to thank you for convening this debate and affording all UN member states to participate, because the situation in Venezuela concerns all UN member states, given its implications for the credibility of the UN Charter and international law. Mr. President, integral to the maintenance of international peace and security since the establishment of the United Nations is the understanding that no nation can claim to be legally or morally superior to another. We are all nations born out of different histories and contexts, ascribing to the common values and principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations. Chief amongst these principles is the sovereign equality of all its members. By signing the Charter, we have all committed to settle our international disputes by peaceful means in such a manner that international peace, security, and justice are not endangered. We have also committed to refrain in our foreign relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes and principles of the United Nations. The International Court of Justice has also previously affirmed that international law prohibits the use of force and intervention in another state's affairs. Due to the shortcomings of its predecessor, the League of Nations, the UN was created to prevent countries from resorting to conflict, to settle disputes and prohibit the use of force unless it is done in a legally prescribed manner. In doing so, the UN has played a pivotal role in ensuring peaceful existence amongst nations, including in ending the colonial subjugation by powerful countries over others, underpinned by respect for the equal rights of nations, large and small, and respect for the principle of equal rights and self-determination of peoples. Joining the organization and committing to its principles afforded protection to many of us, with the supposed assurance that no longer would one nation be seen as inferior to another. Unfortunately, when countries ignore the Charter and act contrary to its central premise, it undermines the credibility of the entire system in which we all undertake our international relations. The stability of the international system depends not only on the respect, but on the consistent application of these established legal norms. We all benefit from a rules-based international order based on international law. When we break those norms, we invite anarchy and an environment where might makes right, ignoring the complexity of interrelations and interdependence in our modern world. Mr. President, the unilateral military strikes carried out by the United States of America against Venezuela and the abduction of President Nicolas Maduro and his spouse from Venezuelan territory for transfer to the United States wantonly violates the sovereignty and territorial integrity and independence of Venezuela. These actions are also in stark contrast to our established legal norms.
Okay, you know Trump doesn't care. People can sit there and talk until they're blue in the face. Trump's going to do what Trump wants to do. Okay, now let's go to the CBS report where they question Venezuela's future, and then we're going to go to Trump talking about he's going to be impeached. Okay, now he's worried about being impeached with his silly self.
Praising the military strike that captured former Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and brought him and his wife to the U.S. to face trial. But there are still big questions about what comes next for Venezuela. CBS 42 Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson joins us live with perhaps some answers, Rashad?
Hey, Sherry, top lawmakers on Capitol Hill have now heard directly from the White House when it comes to the administration's operation inside Venezuela. But Democrats say there are still key details missing. Speaking to House Republicans at the Kennedy Center, President Trump praised the raid that led to the capture of Nicolas Maduro.
It was so complex, 152 airplanes, many. Talk about boots on the ground. We had a lot of boots on the ground.
Republican leaders say the U.S. won't be expanding its footprint inside Venezuela.
We are not at war. We do not have U.S. armed forces in Venezuela, and we are not occupying that country.
Top administration officials briefed House and Senate leaders on the operation Monday night, but Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says he still has serious concerns about what comes next.
Sat through more than a 2.5-hour classified briefing with the administration, and after all that time, we got no real answers.
We're never going to get real answers from an administration that all they do is lie pathologically. And here's the thing. Now they're trying to play with semantics because they say that, we didn't go to war with Venezuela. We're not at war with them. We didn't even invade them. We just went there to make an arrest. We just went there to arrest our president because he's been having illegal substances brought to the United States. Don't y'all find that interesting? So how did y'all go there to arrest this man, first of all? Okay, and either way, they were supposed to get congressional approval. But, that's right, they couldn't do that because they didn't want the information to get leaked. Even if the information got leaked, and which pretty much people had already figured out where they were heading with it because of all the airstrikes on those boats and all the tough talk that Trump was giving. So we all pretty much knew this was coming at the end of the day, but nobody knew when. Okay, so they're just making a bunch of asinine excuses to justify their BS. At the end of the day, they've committed war crimes. They've violated international law, the Constitution, war law, and world law, and all of the above. Okay, and they need to be in jail.
President Trump says the U.S. will run Venezuela, but there are questions about what this will actually mean on the ground and how long it will last.
One man, no idea, no plan.
Republicans, including Senate Majority Leader John Thune, say this should send a message to the rest of the world.
And I think other countries in this hemisphere who are cooperating with narco-terrorists need to be on notice.
The full House and Senate will receive a classified briefing from administration officials about their operation to capture Maduro. Carly?
This is the quickest way to.
All right, now let's go to Trump. Let's go to Trump. Then we're going to listen to Pete Hegseth's exchange where he was called an embarrassment. After that, we're moving on. The rest of the stuff I have about Trump, we'll talk about that tomorrow. And but we're going to get into this whole Donnie McClurkin thing and Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife's dress.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things. They are mean and smart. They impeached me. I never knew I was going to be impeached. I get a phone call. You just got impeached. I said, what does that mean? It took them 10 minutes. They impeached me for nothing, twice. It's an amazing phenomenon. You win the presidency, and we sure as hell are having a successful presidency.
He said that when they told him he was impeached, he said, what does that mean? Okay, he just tells on himself, like, you can't make this up. This is how idiotic he is. So he was the president and he didn't know what impeachment was? Yeah. I wouldn't have told anyone that if I were him.
I will say that. But even if it's a successful presidency, and it's been nothing like what we're doing, but even if it's successful, they don't win. I don't know what it is. There's something psychological, like you vote against. You can win by a lot. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions. We won everything. But they say that when you win the presidency, you lose the midterm. So you're all brilliant people. Most of you are in this business longer than me. But I wish you could explain to me what the hell's going on with the mind of the public.
The public wants you to stop being such a criminal and breaking all of these laws. Is he serious? Trump's absolutely out of his mind. He thinks that everybody's just supposed to go along with what he's doing and not have a problem. Not have any problem. He thinks this is so great. He's just bragging on himself. He's so braggadocious. Okay, and then he's talking about like he doesn't have a clue. He said they'll find a reason to impeach him. They don't need to find a reason. They have plenty of reasons, you idiot. Plenty of them.
Unwatchable.
A Marine veteran stares the Secretary of Defense in the eye and calls him an embarrassment to his face. No dodging, no spin, just yes or no questions, and total chaos.
Gentleman from California, Mr. Carbajal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It shouldn't come as no surprise that I have serious concerns with both the deployment of the National Guard and the Marines to Los Angeles. I served in the Marine Corps. We are trained to be war fighters, not for crowd control. Everyone here should be alarmed that the president has sent armed forces into a city against the wishes of a governor and mayor. I am concerned this administration is purposely escalating the situation with this step and politicizing our armed forces in the process. Let's call it for what it is. It's political theater. Hegseth, are the Marines in Los Angeles ordered to protect property by any means necessary?
Sir, I would say the ICE officers and police officers being attacked is not political theater. The National Guard and Marines,
just yes or no. Just yes or no.
The National Guard and Marines have the full authority to protect federal ICE agents.
Yes or no. Just, can you just say yes or no? This isn't Fox anymore. Just yes or no.
They're there to protect federal agents and federal.
Another BS answer. Under the SRUF, the use of force, are Marines allowed to fire warning shots?
No.
Now that's more like it. Isn't that easy? Well, I'm going to beat this drum because you refuse to take responsibility. Will you take responsibility for having made a mistake? Not to mention many people would say break the law in participating in the Signal group chat that included a journalist, your wife, your brother, where classified information was shared.
Sir, every way I communicate is authorized.
Okay, if you want to say that. I have called for your resignation. I didn't think you were qualified before your confirmation, and you have done nothing to inspire confidence in your ability to lead competently. You broke the law in sharing classified information, and in doing so, endangered the lives of our service members that you are responsible for. Your inability to hold yourself accountable makes you incapable to lead. This alone makes you unfit to be the Secretary of Defense. Secretary, do you think the United States should continue supporting Ukraine in its fight against Russia, a nation that is hostile towards the United States?
Well, as you know, sir, President Trump is committed to peace.
No, I just want yes or no answers. Today,
the United States has spent billions of dollars.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Over years.
Just yes or no. Can I get a yes or no out of you?
We continue to send.
Come on.
Presidential drawdown.
It's that easy. Kindergartners can give me a yes or no. Yes or no.
Yes, we support peace in Ukraine.
Come on. Is this really leadership? You're an embarrassment to the United States. If Russia invades NATO allies, are you going to recommend to the president that we fulfill our Article 5 obligations?
Well, Russia has not invaded NATO allies.
No.
President Trump.
No. I reclaim my time. Yes or no? It's that simple.
There's Article 5 in NATO, which we recognize.
So is the answer yes or no?
That's what Article 5 is, yes.
Good. I'm glad you brought yourself to saying yes. Do you think political allegiance to Trump is a requirement for serving our nation, either in uniform or a civilian in the department?
I'm incredibly proud, as are millions of Americans.
No. Not today, Hegseth. Yes or no?
Congressman, you know what a silly question that is.
But it's silly enough to warrant a very straightforward answer. Yes or no?
We all support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
You know what? I'm not going to waste my time anymore. You're not worthy of my attention or my questions. You're an embarrassment to this country. You're unfit to lead. And there's been bipartisan members of Congress that have called for your resignation. You should just get the hell out and let somebody competently lead this department.
Mr. Chairman, do we not have any decorum in here?
Thank you very much. I yield my time.
Gentleman yields back. And I would urge everybody to remember and maintain a decorum suitable for this chamber with their further comments.
Representative Salud Carbajal didn't just challenge Pete Hegseth, he dismantled him in real time. As a former Marine, Carbajal exposed what many critics have been saying quietly. Deploying Marines for domestic crowd control isn't strength, it's political theater. And when pressed on rules of force, classified information leaks, Ukraine, NATO Article 5, and loyalty to Trump versus the Constitution, Hegseth repeatedly tried to dodge with talking points. That's when Carbajal went nuclear. Calling the Secretary of Defense an embarrassment to the United States isn't just rhetorical heat. It's a signal of collapsing confidence inside Congress itself. The most damning moment wasn't the insult. It was how long it took Hegseth to answer basic yes or no questions that kindergartners could answer. This wasn't about policy disagreement. It was about competence, accountability, and whether the Pentagon is being led by loyalty or by law.
Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, it's very obvious to see. It is very obvious to see that these minions are so afraid to answer the real questions. Pete Hegseth, what he did right there is no different than what Stephen Miller, okay, or any of the rest of them do. And specifically Marco Rubio, not Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio. He did the same thing, sitting there trying to gaslight and deflect, not one to answer the questions. Now, Stephen Miller, he just full on crashed out. Okay? He just, damn straight we did. Isn't that what he said? These people are all something else. Okay, so anyway, like I said, we'll finish talking about Trump and all his minions tomorrow because one thing I took out of the headline was about Trump and these oil CEOs. We'll get into that in tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow morning. Okay, so now let's talk about Grammy-winning gospel singer and pastor, okay, Donnie McClurkin. We fall down, but we get up. Okay, he's been accused of sexual abuse, according to court documents. Ooh, honey, this is all so nefarious. These people are suing any and everybody, okay? Everybody's getting called out. And here's the thing. You know, this is no shock to me that these people are all getting sued for SA or whatever, because I'm pretty sure this stuff's been going on for decades. And here's the thing. They used to talk about the casting couch, and they would talk about how women sleep their way to the top. But they never said that these women were being propositioned and threatened and harassed and assaulted and R-worded. That's what they didn't say. They made it seem like these women were just nefarious and willing to do anything for fame and fortune. And maybe some of them did and were, but some of them absolutely were put in precarious positions. I mean, let's not forget about Harvey Weinstein and his myriad of victims, what they said about him and what they had to go through. Okay, and so now, as we can see, these things are happening to men as well. Okay, anybody find it interesting that all of the men that have said something nefarious about Tyler Perry, whether they're trying to sue him or hinting to him having done things or whatever, anyone notice that these are not famous men? These are not famous actors, A-listers. These are all people on the come up. People trying to make it in the business. People trying to get a leg up. Okay, yeah, you know, those are the people that it might be easier for some of these people to, you know, proposition, do things for them, dangle a carrot in their face, because these people don't have a whole lot of money and they're looking, you know, for a way to make it big. Okay, same thing that they've been doing for decades, if you ask me, with the women. Now, I'm not saying Donnie McClurkin is guilty. I don't know if he did anything he's accused of, but I intend to find out. Okay, as should we all. I want y'all to pay attention. Some of these church folk are nefarious, and they sit here and want to pass judgment on the rest of us when they're just as big as devils as we are. Are they not? Well, let's get into it. I'm no devil. I'm just talking about the rest of you all. But anywho, here's what it says. A former assistant accused Grammy-winning gospel star Donnie McClurkin of sexual assault and R-wording him in a new lawsuit. Now, the suit filed Friday by Giuseppe Corletto under the New York City Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law seeks unspecified damages, all according to the lawsuit. Now, Corletto says that he met McClurkin at the defendant's church when he was only 21 years old. Corletto had read the defendant's book on being delivered from homosexuality. We delivered from it? Oh, interesting. Interesting. I don't believe that stuff when they say you can be delivered from it. Matter of fact, while we're delivering people from things, let's not worry about that. Let's worry more about the PDF files. Why didn't somebody try delivering them? Okay, that's problematic, but let me continue. Anyway, goes on to say he read the book and struggling to accept his asexuality due to his religious beliefs, sought McClurkin's guidance, according to the court documents. Now, imagine you trying to walk away from something that you feel that you're doing that's wrong because of your Christian values and beliefs, only to fall victim to a predator who's supposed to be a whole Christian and pastor and leading you in the right way and giving you guidance and advice, but they're trying instead to groom you and walk you down a dark road that you don't want to go down. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, but if these allegations are true, then that's pretty much what happened. So anyway, goes on to say, soon after attending the church, a minister from the defendant's church, who also struggled with homosexuality, began persistently contacting Corletto, showing up unannounced at his home and making sexual advances. Now, McClurkin then contacted the plaintiff and stated that he had passed the test. What kind of test is this, honey? I thought in church you just give testimonies. Anywho, eventually McClurkin offered Corletto the position of executive personal assistant. He tried to make it sound all fancy when all it is you're just an assistant, a personal assistant, executive personal assistant, please. Which the plaintiff accepted according to court documents. The two then began working together and engaged in pray the gay away sessions, during which McClurkin is accused of groping the plaintiff. McClurkin is also accused of setting up scenarios where with other men to see how Corletto would react, according to court documents. Now, on one such instance, which occurred on 2007, when Corletto accompanied McClurkin and his family on a trip to California. Why is this almost 20 years ago, sir? And we're just now hearing about this. This happened in 2007, and here we are in 2026. I'm starting to think that these people that make these allegations, even if true, I'm starting to think that these people are just sitting around somewhere at home. They had no idea or no intentions of ever sharing their stories with anyone. And some of them are just flat out lying, in my opinion, too. And they're sitting at home and then they start thinking, they're broke, they're going through stuff, have bills to pay, can't get a leg up. And they start thinking, you know what? What about that one time back in 2007, Pastor Donnie McClurkin? Yep. That's back when he was a sinner. Now everybody thinks he's a saint. But what about when he groped me when I was trying not to be an homosexual? Are they serious? Oh, let me continue because I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing at this man, but sir, 2007? And you're just now coming out filing a lawsuit. This is always sketchy for me. Anyway, I do believe it, but I'm just saying, sir, you should have been told this. Anyway, according to court documents, in McClurkin's hotel room, he removed his pants, exposed himself, grabbed the plaintiff, and forced the plaintiff into our words. Hold up. How old was this man? He was 21, right? Corletto cried and begged McClurkin to stop, but McClurkin would not. Honey, if you let Donnie McClurkin doesn't even look tough. He doesn't even look tough. This man let Donnie McClurkin do this to him, and he's sitting there crying. Baby, I would have beat the crap out of Donnie McClurkin, okay? I would have put some serious paws on him had he tried that with me. But, of course, he wouldn't have tried that with me because I'm not what he wants. But I'm just saying, sir, and did you at least peach him? Okay, did you do anything to fight back and try to defend yourself? Now, again, I don't condone violence unless it's in defense of oneself or someone else. But let me continue. So he goes on to say when Corletto attempted to confront him about the incident afterward, the defendant reportedly said that he had no recollection of what had happened due to side effects from medication. Court documents say unwanted sexual advances and sexual acts continued for more than 5 years. Yeah, this is crazy because what? No means no. Who's put up with it for 5 years? These people are something else. Corletto repeatedly tried to quit, but the gospel star allegedly refused, claiming his deliverance and purpose depended on him. The star often compared Carletto to Elijah and Elisha to manipulate and convince him that he needed him. Now, Carletto also confided in church staff members about the pastor's misconduct and abuse, but no action was ever taken, according to the documents. Carletto eventually obtained employment at a Christian broadcasting network, but since McClurkin, since McClurkin is a pastor and gospel star, he still had access to the plaintiff, and abuse continued. Now, at this point, it's starting to sound like you're willfully participating, sir. I mean, what are you doing here? Okay, what is this all about? And here's the thing. He has some receipts, apparently, because he says, see, that's why I believe it, but he says, even after Carletto left the network, McClurkin is accused of seeking him out for sexual gratification. In one instance, Carletto was finally able to fend off the unwanted advances. After the incident, McClurkin sent an apology email, and here's what it said. Y'all listen to this. Old enough to be your father and want to be something else to you. You don't have that desire for me, and I shouldn't have it for you. I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. I am really embarrassed at how I am and how I acted. You're going to be even more embarrassed when y'all go into court if you don't settle. Okay, so they reached out to McClurkin and he wasn't immediately available. Comments. What do you all have to say? What do you all have to say about it, honey? I'm sorry, 5 years this was going on, and man, this was so long ago, and now you're saying something, sir? No, absolutely not. Okay, now let's go on and talk about Pastor, right? Because they have done an interview, he and his beautiful wife, they have done an interview on, what's the pretty lady's name that was friends with Prince? Tamron Hall. So they did an interview with Miss Tamron Hall. I'm going to play a clip from that. And, because people made a big to-do about that lady's dress. As I recall, Megan Good had the same problem when she was married to the pastor. They were talking about her clothing and she's not suitable to be a first lady and all this stuff. It's all a whole lot.
Even a sliver of doubt before you walked out to go to the event about the dress and that it might create a stir.
People have said, she knew it would get this reaction. My ego is not that big. Wow. I don't dress for people. I dress for myself and for my husband. I am a wife. Yeah. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I have a doctorate. I'm a professor. There are plenty of things that I do. And the challenge is we often want to see a woman be one-dimensional. I am multi-dimensional. I carry multiple titles. Now, what you choose to call me on whatever day is fine for whatever that might be. But I think that there is this idea that a woman can only be one thing. Mm-hmm. And once I happened to marry a pastor, I happened to fall in love with a man who is a pastor, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that came the title of First Lady. But there is no book for that. There is no manual for what that looks like. And I have decided that the title does not define me. I define what the title is.
Ooh, honey, I know people were going all in. Now, let me say this. Nene said Jamal is loving all this attention. Well, he probably is, beloved. He probably is. And as he should, because his wife is beautiful and fine. See, I think that these people that are talking about her, I think they're all just a bunch of haters and mad. Specifically, this pastor here. Let me just go to him. Okay, let me just go to this pastor right here. All right. Because here's the thing. Now, hold on. Let me read a couple of comments first. Jeff ATL said, Jamal Bryant's wife is a secular woman. I bet she was an HO when he met her. I don't know. Just because, why would you think she was an HO? Because of her dress? He said, and then he says, Jamal Bryant loves HO 304s. Well, now, why would you say that, Jeff ATL? Why would you think that these women that he's been dating or marrying are HOs? Okay, I'm going to have to disagree. Because he was married to that pretty lady Giselle, right? I don't think Giselle's an HO. Okay, I don't think she's an HO. But here's what I do think. Mel said the dress is nice to her. I think it's nice too. I think people are just jealous. That's what I really think. Okay. Dynamic Quality says she's very pretty, but that dress was a bit much, in my opinion, for being the pastor's wife. Well, here's the thing. Here's how I view it. Okay, I'm going to tell y'all just like this, and some of y'all might not like it, but hey, I don't care. A lot of these people that go to church, that claim to be Christians and who pretend to be holier than thou, they're no better than anyone else. And some of them are the biggest hoes that you ever going to meet. Okay, and some of the men, and that goes for the men and the women. A lot of these women talking trash about this woman's dress, go to church with no underwear on and sit in the front pew with their legs open, or they keep crossing and uncrossing their legs. I've seen it. Okay? A lot of these Christian folk want to act like they're so into Jesus and they're such good people, but they're not. Not all of them. Some of them are the biggest gossipers, the biggest fornicators, the ones that commit the adultery. I'm just saying, they're just like everybody else. But because they walk up into the church on Sunday and sit there and listen to a sermon or sing in the choir or they're on the usher board or whatever, they think they have the audacity to come out and try to talk down on everybody else. Doesn't. The Bible says, judge not lest ye be judged, or it also says judge righteously. Are they judging her righteously? I'm going to tell you right now, they're not. They're not, because here's why. Because like I said, they're sitting up here passing judgment on this woman. They feel like because she's married to the pastor, she's supposed to dress a certain way. Who made that rule? Who made that rule? And if that is the rule, then how come when people used to dress up nice to go to church, put on your Sunday best, your dress, your stockings, your heels, the men coming in suits and all that, they changed all of that. They started saying, come as you are. They said that the Most High said, come as you are. So then they started having people coming to church with jeans and sneakers and just whatever, short skirts, breast out, pushed up. Yeah, this is what they do, okay? And they sit on the front row with the prayer cloth across their legs with no underwear, and then slide the prayer cloth off and cross their legs back and forth like the movie Basic Instinct with Sharon Stone. Like I said, I've seen it. I was sitting in the choir. That's how I saw these things. I was sitting in the choir. So with that all being said, they need to sit down somewhere. These people are just jealous. This lady can dress how she wants to. And also, here's the thing. Was there any nudity, or was it just the imagination? See, the dress looks to me like it was made to give the appearance that there was nothing underneath. Not that there actually wasn't anything underneath. That dress looks perfectly fine to me. She didn't wear it to church. She didn't wear it to church. If she had worn it to church, I could say, okay, I see why they feel like it's too much. But she didn't wear it to church. She wore it to an event. Okay, a black tie event where people were dressed very nice and elegantly. And that dress was very nice and elegant, and it looked good on her. So I just think people are mad and it's hating. That's all that is for me. But let's continue.
I thank God that she dresses like a first lady. I thank God. I thank God for that.
Dina said, Jamal Bryant also said Cam's legs were pretty. What's up with that? Sounds like anything goes with a lot of the so-called pastors. Cam's legs are pretty. If I may say so myself, Cam's legs are pretty. Now, I don't know why the pastor told him that. I guess because he thought the same. I mean, there are some men who give other men compliments. Okay, I don't think Pastor Jamal Bryant is gay. Okay, because he said Cam had pretty legs, because I did catch that when he said it, and I laughed. But I don't think it was anything, inappropriate about it or whatever. LL said it's imaginary, her dress. Right. You're not really seeing what you think you're seeing. The dress is just made that way to give the illusion. And people are just all in a tiffy. But anyway, let's continue.
The lowering of standards are amazing. A preacher presented his wife the other day, and I guess you call that a flesh-colored dress. I don't know. It's black dress and flesh color. It gives the illusion that she's not wearing anything underneath. And I heard the preacher, when he defended her dress, by saying, first of all, he bought the dress. And then he said, I want to address people who don't know anything, who haven't been anywhere, who don't know nothing. So I guess our objection to a man of the cloth presenting his wife in public looking like a $2 whore.
Ooh. Now I'm gonna tell you right here. While y'all are sitting here talking about this lady's dress, this pastor, and y'all talk about Pastor Jamal Bryant, this pastor right here just said that woman looked like a $2 304. Now that was inappropriate. Okay, it really was. That sounds like hate. Okay, he got the spirit of hate on him. That's what I'm gonna say. That was not necessary. Why would you call her that? Because of her dress. Okay, the nerve of him. And then he talked about his first lady. He's glad she doesn't dress like that. Honey, she don't need to. Your first lady is what, about 70-some years old, boo-boo? And she looks it. She doesn't need to. And I'm not disparaging her. I'm just saying she's an elder. I wouldn't expect to see an elder looking like that unless they're like that lady that's 72 years old and works out and still does the bodybuilding stuff, and she looks good, doesn't look her age at all. She looks like she's maybe in her early 50s. But other than that, I wouldn't expect his wife, look at him. I wouldn't expect him or his wife to step out looking like Pastor Jamal Bryant and his wife. Pastor Jamal Bryant and his wife, they got style, pizzazz, flavor. Okay? At the end of the day, listen, to each their own. Okay, if that's her husband and he bought the dress and doesn't have a problem, that's his business and that's her business. And sometimes it's okay to just mind yours. Sometimes, beloveds, it's okay to just mind your own business. But let's continue.
Two, at least two. Now, I didn't say she was. I'm not talking about her. My statement is not about her. My statement is about him.
No, it's not. If you say he let his wife come out looking like a $2 304, sir, you're talking about her as well. Okay, I don't like how he's sitting up here trying to play these little games and play with semantics. Okay, I wouldn't go to his church after hearing him say that if I wanted to.
I said he presented his wife, and he said he bought the dress. Those are his words, not mine. There is nothing classy about that. There's nothing modest about that. He said we haven't been anywhere. What I would like to know is where have you been? Where did he go? So I'll make sure that I never go there, because I don't want to go anywhere and I come back with that kind of a notion. Now I will say this, and this is a comment about my wife, not his wife. This is a comment about my wife. My wife wouldn't have done it, no matter what I said. She just would have said, honey, I'll wear this for you. I wear this for you at home when we know the grandkids aren't coming.
He's fronting. He know damn well he don't even want to see his wife dressed like that. And that's why he's up here mad at Pastor Jamal Bryant, because he was looking at that lady in lust. He was looking at that lady in lust, and he feels guilty, okay? He could sit down somewhere. He is not fooling the queen, baby. That's what he's not doing. Now, you have taken time out of your sermon. You're supposed to be up there preaching the word of God. You're supposed to be up there trying to save people's souls and all that. And you're instead sitting up here trying to go in on Pastor Jamal Bryant about his wife. That doesn't have anything to do with you. It's none of your business, okay? It's none of your business. You're being very judgmental, Pastor. Okay, being very judgmental, Pastor Patrick Wood. All right, that's what he's doing. And then talking about what his wife wouldn't do. Your wife is the lady that we all see sitting in church with the big hat on, with the little stuff tilted to the side, okay, with the kitten heels. All right, that's your wife, sir. Of course, she would never. Okay, she could never. All right, sir, you up there coveting this man's wife, and then at the same time trying to go in on him? Sir, please sit down, but I'm gonna let you cook.
Because there is such a thing as decency. Decency. Y'all don't like me. But in public, at an event where everyone will see. I don't know of a greater way for a man to demean his wife. And if he doesn't think that that is demeaning her, there is something wrong with him. But then again, we're also talking about the guy who looked at Cam Newton's legs and told Cam he had pretty legs.
Hey, no, he did not. He had to go there. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna be honest with you all. That man right there, he's jealous of Pastor Jamal Bryant. And not just because he has a lovely wife. He's jealous of him, period. Because for you to sit there and say that he talked about Cam's legs, sir, what were you doing watching that interview? And that interview was months ago. So for you to bring it up on today lets me know that you really have something against Pastor Jamal Bryant, sir. Now you're trying to make it sound like he might be gay. Okay, I don't believe he is. But what I do believe is that pastor that just said all of that stuff, Pastor Patrick Wooden. I think, yeah, Ladybug says he has a jealous energy. He definitely does. Dorada said he mad his wife wearing moo-moos now. Okay, I really think he's jealous. I think that's what it is. Dynamic Quality said these pastors use their time for clapback. They absolutely do. Okay, everyone, please like and share. And thank you for your insight to the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, here is what Pastor Jamal Bryant had to say about his wife's attire. And Ladybug said he secretly follows Jamal. Okay? I mean, like, dude, why are you so concerned and preoccupied with what this man's talking about, what they have going on? And then what they don't seem to realize is when you do stuff like this, all you're doing is giving them more publicity. All you're doing is bringing more attention to the matter that you claim that you feel is inappropriate. Saying that he lets his wife or presented his wife like a 304, like a $2 304 at that, and then going to have the nerve to sit up there and say he wasn't talking about her. I'm saying something about him. You're talking about her too. Because if he says that Pastor Jamal Bryant is presenting his wife like a 304, you're also saying that that's what she looks like. Okay, that's what she looks like to you, sir. But she don't look like that to you. She looks good to you, sir. And you're mad because your wife's days, okay, are over. As far as her dressing like that, your wife might have dressed like that back in the day, but not today. Is all I'm saying.
Today, the internet went crazy about a dress my wife had on. Now, they didn't say anything about the $4 million that was raised for the United Negro College Fund. They never mentioned that she prayed until heaven came down. But insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded people got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress. The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color. I need to set the record straight. I bought the dress. And I like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't mad to y'all. She mad to me. If you wanted a first lady that looked like Little House on the Prairie and Holly Hobbie, you got the wrong church. I wanted a wife I would rush home to, that I wanted to be excited to see. When we walked in there, I said, shake it fast, watch yourself.
All right, not shake it fast, Pastor. All right, y'all heard what Pastor Jamal Bryant said. Shake it fast, but watch yourself. Okay, y'all heard that? Okay, I know y'all ain't got nothing else to say about that man or his wife at this point. Okay, y'all need to sit down somewhere. Juju talk about, say what now? You know what I would like to know? Where is 50 Cent to respond to Fabulous? Where's 50 Cent? He's always so quick to the draw. Has he responded to Fabulous yet? Because it's been over a week, hasn't it? Did he respond to Fabulous yet? I have several questions. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to. What y'all think? Hold on, let me see. 50 responded to Fabulous disses on their Let's Rap About It podcast with cryptic, anonymous social media posts hinting at a calculated response and calling them squatters. Nah, he said that before. He called them squatters in the first place. That's why Fabulous did the song. But also, 50 is stalling. He's talking about because it's the new year, he's going to wait to respond to people or whatever. 50, sit down somewhere. What are you going to do? Hire Drake's ghostwriter to write you a rap response? Let me tell y'all something. 50's always quick to the draw, and he loves calling people out and talking trash, but he don't want it with Fabulous because Fabulous is a much better lyricist than him. Now, 50 may have had more songs, more hits, and all of that, but and then he was talking about that too, saying Fabulous never got his big day or whatever, his big moment. He was saying this prior to Fabulous doing that diss, and then he was talking about how he has all these songs or whatever. Well, here's the thing. Anybody that's into rap, if you're into hip hop, you should know that it doesn't take, if somebody has hit songs because they have good producers, they have catchy hooks and things like that, that does not make you a better lyricist than somebody else. Okay, that doesn't mean that, because most of the catchy songs don't even have good lyrics most of the time. We've got some people that really can't rap, but they have hit songs. Okay, I'm sorry. Make it all make sense. Soulja Boy had hit songs, but I really don't think he's like one of the top rappers, and nor will I ever. But he made money. So I'm sorry, 50 Cent, you're sitting there talking about Fabulous. At the end of the day, Fabulous would kill him in lyrics. Okay, that's just my opinion. That is just my opinion, okay? He don't want that Fabulous smoke. No, he doesn't. He absolutely doesn't. I don't believe it for a minute. That's why, he's stalling, talking about, he's gonna come back. It's the beginning of the year and all this. And 50, if you come back with a diss song after taking all of this time, I'm just gonna assume that you paid Drake's ghostwriter, like I said, to try to come up with something. See, Fabulous is smart because he already knows how petty 50 is and how 50 loves to engage in a back and forth. So rather than engaging in a back and forth with him, he went to the booth because he know 50 is not going to the booth to come for him. Okay, that's what he knew. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm up out of here. Okay, I'm up out of here. What did you think of Mike Todd's dresses? I don't know who Mike Todd is, beloved. Who is that? Who is Mike Todd? He makes dresses or he was wearing one? Let me look that up real quick. Hold on, honey. Let me see what's going on here. Mike Todd defends his feminine clothes. Oh, he dresses feminine? Listen. To me, I don't worry what other people wear. That stuff doesn't listen. Stuff like that doesn't even bother me. If he wants to dress feminine, that's on him. I don't worry about those things. I just don't. I don't get all upset or concerned about what other people are wearing. Just like when Sierra wore that dress that was scantily clad and people were talking about it and going in saying she disrespected Russell. How was she disrespecting Russell if Russell told her she could wear that dress? If he let her walk out of the house and he's holding her hand and she has that dress on. Like sometimes it's okay to mind your business. At the end of the day, if you wouldn't dress that way or your mate wouldn't want you to dress that way, that's fine. That's you and that's them. But some people just want to show what their mama gave them. And again, for Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife, I didn't see anything wrong with that dress. Okay, now the dress that Sierra had on, there's no way in hell I would have ever worn that. But I'm not going to knock her for wearing it because that's what she wanted to do. And her man didn't mind, so that's on them. But with Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife's dress, I didn't think it was anything wrong with it. There was no skin showing. It just looked like it. At least she had the illusion. Okay, at least she left something to the imagination, which is more than I can say for some. Okay, anyway. And that's my thoughts on that. All right, anyway, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. I will see you all tomorrow. I hope you get a good night's rest. Until next time, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. Always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And do yourselves a favor and make sure you're still subscribed, because I told y'all, I noticed today that there were unsubscribing people again. They just can't help themselves. Okay? They can't help themselves. Okay, so until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got